It says right in the contract that we can not in the contract, in the real estate manual, that we are able to rebate the purchaser, but money has to be used for closing costs or down payment. I made the suggestion during the meeting that we are not allowed to rebate the purchaser without the lender's permission. That throws it on the back of the lender, and the lender's never going to give us permission to rebate the buyer. That would solve the issue. This is a few years back. Everybody thought that was a great idea. Nothing's happened with it, so who knows? So you can rebate the buyer. You can rebate the seller. It's just, again, a reduction in our fees. Next page. These are my notes again. 2 new forms mandated by the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. Next page, we have our loan estimate. It replaces the former RESPA good faith and the initial truth in lending form, and it may be given to consumer within 3 business days once lender receives 6 key pieces of information. If a loan is locked after the initial loan estimate, a new loan estimate must be provided within 3 days. And a revised loan estimate requires a 4-day waiting period. My notes. Consumer's name, income, social security number, address of property being purchased, estimate of value of property, loan amount being applied for. Although the creditor may request additional pieces of information, once they have received the required 6 items, the creditor is now required to provide the borrower with an official loan estimate within 3 business days of receiving the 6 pieces of information. And this closing disclosure must be received by the consumer at least 3 business days prior to closing. And delivery methods may affect the closing dates. A revised closing disclosure may trigger an additional 3-day waiting period. If the annual percentage rate changes are made to the loan producer or product, or a prepayment penalty is added. The delivery deadlines. This is kind of outlines it here. Again, pretty small print. You're on your own, but that's pretty good information. You can make it out yourself. Let me read my notes on it. Methods of delivery. The clock starts to click when the consumer acknowledges receipt of the closing disclosure. Non-hand delivery assumes the consumer receives the CD 3 days after dropping the disclosure in the mail. And email. Consumer must not only receive the document but acknowledge receipt. And hand delivery or e-signatures 3 days from acknowledgement. Integrated disclosures, next page. The lender cannot accept money prior to application and intent to proceed, and may affect dates and deadlines in the contract. Consumers should obtain credit approval, not just pre-qualification prior to writing a contract. Again, consumers should obtain credit approval, at least a pre-qualification letter, of course. But it says not just pre-qualification. That's wonderful, except prior to credit approval, not just application prior to writing a contract. That's wonderful, except we don't know the contract price or anything else of the property. But all things being equal, try to get a pre-qualification letter, and as well as you can, get them pre-qualified to the next level if at all possible. If possible, the final walkthrough should be scheduled at least 7 days prior to closing. Avoid scheduling of same-day closings on stacked transactions. Possession dates should be discussed with the buyer or the seller. Discussion of the post-closing occupancy agreement. And all real estate professionals have to communicate with each other to make these things happen. We're more team effort now than we've ever been. General practice issues again. We're going to go to the post-occupancy and post-occupancy agreement. Let's look at these occupants agreements and leases. When is a post-closing occupants agreement needed? And the answer to that is any time delivery of the deed or possession is after closing. When should a term of a post-closing occupancy agreement be negotiated? This is where the seller is going to be in the home for a period of time after the closing, and it's at the time of the contract this should be happening. How long can a post-closing occupancy agreement be effective if drafted by the broker? And again, 30 days. 30 days for that occupancy. And what should a broker do if the parties want to allow a seller to occupy the property longer? And contact an attorney to prepare a lease. Do not do a post-closing occupancy agreement for 30 days and a lease for the following 30 days. Why is there no pre-occupancy agreement? And the answer is because it's essentially a lease option or lease purchase. So, let's keep going here. Occupants agreements again. Do you need a post-closing occupancy agreement if there is a tenant living in the property? And the answer is no. The lease governs possession and is transferred assigned at closing. Does the buyer have authority to enforce the lease after closing? And of course, only if the lease has been assigned to the buyer and that the lease is assignable. Trust accounts, next part here. Going to page 90. Improper depositing or accounting for trust funds is the number one violation investigated by the Commission. Most violations occur in property management accounts. Employing brokers must account for all funds received. Strict deposit guidelines must be met. Funds tied to sales contracts must be deposited within 3 business days of receipt. Funds tied to property management agreements must be deposited within 5 business days of receipt. My notes. Broker receives money as fiduciary or trustee, money belonging to client, customer, landlord, or tenant, whoever is the beneficiary of the money held. The employing broker is responsible for the critical supervisory functions of reviewing and maintaining the escrow accounts, even if accounting is performed by another. The facts. Division conducted a random audit of a property management company. Investigators found discrepancies in account balances. The broker placed money belonging to others together in an account with money belonging to his brokerage. And broker provided falsified bank documents to division investigators. The broker, next page, the broker diverted others' funds when he transferred money from security deposit trust accounts directly into his company operating account. Security deposit trust account had deposit amounts that appeared in excess of what was required for security deposit disposition. And the broker failed to maintain a written monthly bank reconciliation worksheet and failed to provide reliable bank reconciliation for security deposits and trust accounts. Let's go to the outcome. The broker was censured and given formal discipline. License was summarily suspended upon completion of the investigation. The broker was fined $25,000. The broker license was revoked. The broker case was sent to district attorney's office and charged with theft, computer crime, and attempt to influence a public official. Next page. The division continues to receive a large number of complaints with regard to missing money and or improper record handling. And consumer harm is the reason. Next page. If brokerage holds earnest monies or monies belonging to others, a sales escrow account is required. The minimum recommended for property management is 2 trust accounts. the security deposit, and operating trust accounts. Based on the escrow account equation, cash balances must equal account liabilities. That's accounting 101. Should be basic. My notes. Using non-escrow accounts to hold funds belonging to others is commingling of funds. Escrow is for other people's money, not for ours, not for our companies. Sales escrow accounts may be used for property management as less than 7 single-family resident units are managed. Both security deposits and operating funds can go into this account. Not advisable or recommended. Account name setup. Account title format. License brokerage name, etc., etc. If I'm managing 7 or more units as a property manager, I have to have a separate escrow account for each individual type of escrow that I'm using. Not for each individual property, but every type of escrow account that I'm using. If I'm managing 6 units or less, I can just have one escrow account and dump everything into that one escrow account. But again, it is an escrow account. OPM, for other people's money. And it says right here that sales escrow accounts may be used for property management as less than 7 single-family resident units are managed. So again, it's very important that if you're managing 7 or more, what if you have one building but there's 24 units in it? Are you managing 1 unit or the 24? You're managing 24. So just react accordingly if you're in property management. Next page. Rule E10 requires brokers to supervise and maintain a record-keeping system at the place of business consisting of an escrow or trust account, journal, ledger, and bank reconciliation worksheet. A journal records all financial transactions within that account. A ledger separates and records clients, customers, and broker financial transactions. The bank reconciliation worksheet must show the balances of the accounts are in balance with the bank statement and that the escrow accounting equation is accurate. My notes. The broker's ledger should show funds from any potential bank charges and non-sufficient funds, fees, and checks. The lender should show the transfer of broker funds to cover and all advanced funds for non-sufficient funds. Next page. Supporting records that detail all receivables and disbursements must be kept and available. Monthly accounting is required for all monies held. IRS Form 1099 is used for the reporting of accountable data. Brokers required to keep accurate ongoing records that verify disclosure and consent of any compensation, fees, or markups. My notes. Disclosure and consent is required. No standard amount of customary fee or markup. It is whatever is written and signed by the client that can be charged. Next part, talking about complaint statistics. Page 99 here. Total complaints received, 821 complaints. Complaints dismissed upon intake, 263. Complaints investigated, 558. Next page. Dispositions of complaints. The investigative dismissal, 329, found no license law violations or outside the jurisdiction of the Commission. Commission, 92 investigations that were presented to the Commission for higher level disciplinary cases. Delegated authority, 106. Division staff settled, lower level discipline. Other. Audit, incomplete, application, disposition pending, 31. Kind of interesting. Out of all the thousands of brokers, that many complaints, is that legitimate or is that excessive or not? Kind of hard to say. Let's keep going to the next page. Investigative process. A complaint is filed electronically through the Commission website, e-license system. Excuse me. Once received, the Commission reviews for potential violations of real estate license law and or rules. When the initial review of the complaint is complete, it is either assigned to an investigator for further review or dismissed. If dismissed, the complainant is advised in writing that the Division of Real Estate has no jurisdiction over the allegations addressed in the complaint, therefore it has been dismissed. Next page, key point. Respondents must respond in 14 days or face another violation of Commission rules. If a complaint is assigned to an investigator, the complainant is notified in writing of receipt of complaint and the investigator's contact information is provided. The respondent is notified in writing of the complaint and provided a copy of the same, including all supporting documents provided with the complaint. And confidential information is redacted. That means blacked out. The respondent has 14 days in which to respond to the complaint and provide all relevant documents. Next page. Once the formal investigation has begun, all documentation provided by the complainant, resident, and any witness is reviewed, and all relevant parties are interviewed either by telephone or in person. Next page. Key point. A letter of admonishment is not part of the public record. Only the respondent will know it was used. Letter of admonition is like a slap on the wrist. It doesn't even appear in the record. When the investigation has been completed, one of the following options is chosen. Dismissed as insufficient evidence. A letter of admonishment, also known as letter of concern, is sent to the licensee, stating no license laws, rules were found to have been violated. However, the Commission is nonetheless concerned with the conduct, and additional complaints may result in disciplinary action. An investigative report is generated. The investigative report is reviewed, and a determination is made as to whether the matter will go before the Commission for appropriate discipline or through delegated authority afforded division staff. Next page. Once discipline has been determined, the expedited settlement program will inform the licensee of license law rule violations and discipline imposed. If the licensee agrees with the determination, a stipulation of final agency order is generated. If licensee disagrees with the determination, the matter is referred to the Attorney General. Next part, the HOA Resource Center. Senate Bill 15206, conservative easements, $1.5 million donation. Property Management CAM Task Force, Employing Brokers Task Force. Next page, 109. The HOA Information Resource Center and the Division of Real Estate does not have any investigative or enforcement capability to address your HOA complaint. We record your issues and matters of concern into a statistical database, which is later compiled into an annual report. The HOA officer will make every effort to contact you regarding your complaint if further information or clarification is needed, as well as to discuss the issue in your complaint and assist with possible resources. Be advised that any information you provide in your complaint may not be considered confidential pursuant to the Colorado Open Records Act, the CORA. Next part, new regulations. Conservation easements. Page 111 here. In response to the state's 2010 budgetary shortfall, an aggregate limit on the total dollar amount of tax credits available for a given year was established under the House bill. Beginning in 2014 and each year thereafter, the cap is $45 million. The division administers the cap by issuing tax credit certificates to landowners that submit an application. Approved applications submitted after the cap is reached are placed on a $15 million wait list for the next year, as set forth in the statute. The Department of Revenue will not allow a tax credit claim unless a tax credit certificate is first issued by the division. And other new regulations, the Property Management Task Force, the Community Association Manager Task Force. Licensed real estate brokers also holding a CAM license must also have errors and omissions insurance, coverage of not less than $1 million per covered claim, aggregate limit of not less than $1 million, and deductibles no greater than $5,000. And crime fidelity must not be less in aggregate than 2 months of current assessments, plus reserves as calculated from the current budget for each community manager. In addition, next page, licensed brokers will need to complete an additional 8 hours of CAM CE credit in approved subjects as prescribed in Rule B3 and successfully passed the Colorado law portion of the CAM examination. In order to manage a community interest community in Colorado, a common interest community in Colorado, licensed brokers will need to either obtain a CAM designated management level license from the division or work under a CAM licensed designated manager. Next page, recent Senate Bill 15-209 exempts managers of timeshare common interest communities from having to be licensed as community association managers. In order to qualify for this exemption, a majority of the units in the community that are designated for residential use must be timeshare units, or the community is registered with the Division of Real Estate as a timeshare subdivision. The Employing Brokers Task Force. Let's go to the next page, 118. The division has started holding stakeholder meetings to prepare for the upcoming 2017 Sunset Review of the Real Estate Brokers Practice Act. Increasing education requirements to become an employing broker is part of this. Increased education requirements to perform activities of a property manager endorsements, additional insurance requirements. Let's go to topics. Next page. Colorado Housing Connects. We're on page 121. Renters, homeowners, and landlords looking for housing resources, services, or assistance can now call to get education and the local referral information to address their housing needs. Colorado Housing Connects was launched to educate and refer consumers to local resources. It serves all of Colorado. It fields nearly 2,000 calls each month and provides for education and referrals free of charge. The Colorado Housing Connects is a project of Brothers Redevelopment Incorporated, a nonprofit housing and housing service provider. Next page. Colorado Housing Connects provides referrals to local resources for landlord-tenant counseling, home ownership and foreclosure prevention counseling, minor repair, rehab, and accessibility modification programs, fair housing concerns, seniors and those with special housing needs, and landlords. Then we have the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, page 124. The CFPB accepts consumer complaints related to financial products and services. They will forward a consumer complaint to the company and work to get a response from them. There's the website for it. Next page. Ensure consumers have timely and understandable information to make responsible decisions about financial transactions, and protect consumers from unfair trade practices or discrimination. Reduce unnecessary regulations, promote fair competition, and advance consumer markets. Then Commission News. We have new websites, page 128. From the division's homepage, users have quick access to all industry needs. Industry forms and contracts can be found quickly on the home page. To view individual programs or the licensing and education components, use the programs Licensing and or Education blue buttons. The division's meeting and events calendar is now in Google format, providing ability to add calendar events to personal Google calendars. Division websites again, next page. In the upgrades of the division website, all documents leaked on the websites are now held in a Google Drive. Clicking on a document link will show the documents in a preview screen called a light box screen. All documents can be downloaded or printed from the preview screen. Forms and contracts will be in writable once downloaded. Brokers' forms and contracts are grouped in Google folders on the website. Users are able to add the forms and contracts Google folders to their personal drive, providing automatic updates. Next part, going to page 131. July 2015, the Division of Real Estate moved to a new online license management and database, the e-license. Licensees and business entities must use e-license for all initial applications, processing of all new renewable upgrades, and processing of all change requests. And my notes. Business entitles need to contact the division for their registration number to create an account. Send request to DORA_system_support@state.co.us. Well, that'll be on the website to reference that, no doubt. Next page. All licensees and business entities licensed with the Division of Real Estate are required to register and create an account to use e-license. The e-license database and online service enhancements expand licensing functions, allowing licensees the ability to all aspects of their license online on their own time, and reduces regulatory red tape and licensing costs. Next page. The create, save initial licensing applications, check status of applications, renewal of reinstate, change a license level, update account and license information, print certificates, change license status, update employment information, search licensees, create rosters, file complaints. And e-license is being rolled out in phases, certain features still being developed. Creating an e-license account, my notes here. E-license is the new way for licensees and applicants to maintain the Division of Real Estate license needs. All licensees will need to create an account in order to renew their license, pay fees, or submit documentation for an audit. E-license can also be used to deactivate, reactivate a license, or upgrade license status. In order to access these functions, licensees will need to register their new account. To get the process started, click Register Link. Creating an e-link account. The first step in the registration process is to determine how the applicant licensee would like to register. Here's a tip. Register your individual account before you register your company account. In order to register a company, applicant licensee must have Secretary of State number and online registration code. And the online registration code can be found by contacting the division. To register as an individual, you must select the individual. Then you must select yes or no. Select yes if any of the following are true. I currently have a license. I have submitted an application. I have submitted fingerprints. I have taken the pre-licensure exam through PSI. Select no if none of the above apply. For this course, we will select yes. Next page. My notes. Applicant must now enter the last name and last four of the Social Security number in order to see if they currently have any information in the e-license system. Do not enter online registration number for individual account registration. Once information is entered, select Finish to advance to the next screen. Some folks will get a message stating multiple accounts located. In this scenario, applicants' licensees need to contact the division to have their accounts merged. Once the merge is complete, they may continue the registration process. Next page. Now applicant must enter the account, personal information, and address. Select a username, email address, and password for this account. Record this information somewhere where it will be easy to locate in the future. Email address must be valid. A confirmation email will be generated once registration is complete that activates the account. If you enter incorrect email information, the process will not be able to move forward. Password must be 4 characters in length, include 1 number, include 1 uppercase letter, include 1 lowercase letter, and include 1 special character. Address. If public and business address are the same, you can click same as public address and proceed. Page 138 here. Now the applicant licensee must select 3 secret questions and answers. Record this information somewhere where it will be easy to locate in the future. These question-answer combinations can be used to unlock the user account if too many incorrect login attempts are initiated. After the questions have been selected and answers assigned, applicant licensee may click Create Account to proceed. Next page. Once we arrive at this final screen, we can see that the system is prompting us with an issue that needs to be resolved. In order to complete the registration process, applicants' licensees must log in to the email account they provided and click on the link in the email to verify their user account. Once you have verified the account, using the link sent to your email address, you will be fully registered for the e-license system. Next page. To change employers from the company end. These instructions are for currently active companies that wish to transfer a licensee into the company as an associate broker. The license prefix must be FA, A, or EA. If you don't know the prefix, you can view it by using the I want to look up a license link. Removing a license from the company roster. Please log into the company online account and follow the directions below. If the company does not have an account, please register a new one first. First, select the Online Services menu from the upper right-hand corner. Then select Add Transfer Licensees to begin your application. Click Add under Question 2 to add a sub-visee. Next, enter the numeric portion of the license or enter the licensee first and last name. Finally, click Search to locate the licensee. Hopefully this will help as you're trying to navigate through this. Hopefully it will. Pretty dry stuff, but try to remember that you do have this information in this book here once you try to go through this with the Real Estate Commission. Next page. Click Add when the licensee information is returned by the search. Select Relationship Type for licensees transferring into the company. This will always be employee. Only use responsible broker if the ER will be changing. Now click OK. You will now be returned to the first screen, which will show the licensee entry you just added into the grip. Complete the previous 5 steps for each licensee to be transferred. Click Next when all entries are presented in the grid. Do not click Close and Save unless you have to stop and come back to complete the application later. The next page, this is the review screen of the application. You can review your entries, see the total charges, print a copy of the application you have filled out, go back to edit entries, and submit the application for payment. If you do not need to edit any entries, click Add to Invoice. Once added to invoice, the fee can be paid, and the transfer will be complete. Managing brokers should check their rosters weekly to ensure transfers have been successful and to ensure no licensee has been added to the company without the managing broker's knowledge. And then the real estate manual, next part here, next page, 2016 Colorado Real Estate Manual. The manual is not only a beneficial resource for new licensees, but for existing real estate brokers, appraisers, and other real estate professionals. It provides current relevant statutes and requirements for practicing in Colorado. The ebook download benefit of a searchable digital manual for quick access to new information, statutes, rules, and position statements. My notes. Book is due out January 1st, 2016. Brokers are expected to know what has changed in laws, rules, and position statements each year. Next part, feedback. The Commission's Education Task Force wants input from you. Your feedback is incorporated into future versions of the ACU course and used as a guide to help improve instruction of the course. All identities are kept confidential, and the feedback will help the committee and instructors analyze their performance. Please give us your honest opinion. Take the survey at that website right there. Now we have an exam. It's a 10-question exam. Fill out that exam and just fax it over to us. The fax number is 303-426-6696. 303-426-6696. This is the end of the 4-hour mandatory course. Upon completion and passing of this test, we will get you your certificate. Thanks for using American Real Estate College. We'll see you next year.